Rain hammers against cracked pavement. Neon signs flicker red and blue across a Seoul alleyway. A woman's trembling hands cradle a dying stranger's head against her chest. His breathing is shallow. Hers is frantic. When I fed him that night, I thought I was saving a homeless man. I didn't know I was feeding a ghost. A king. A killer. Thunder cracks. His eyes snap open, dark, ancient, dangerous. Her heartbeat pounds like a war drum. And I definitely didn't know. He would come back for me. Screen cuts to black. A whisper in Korean. The woman who saved my life. The rain in Seoul didn't fall. It attacked. Amara pressed her jacket hood tighter against her braids as she hurried through the Itaewon alley, her brown skin glistening under the assault of water and neon light. It was 2 a.m. The club where she worked as a backup dancer had just closed, and the subway had stopped running an hour ago. Her phone was dead. Her feet ached in cheap heels that clicked against wet asphalt like a countdown. Just get home. Just survive another night in this city that doesn't want you. She almost walked past him. He was crumpled against the wall between a closed noodle shop and a karaoke bar, skeletal thin, his clothes rotted rags that might have once been expensive. His face was turned away, but she could see his chest rising and falling in desperate, uneven gasps. Homeless men were everywhere in Seoul, invisible fixtures of the city's gleaming facade. But something made her stop. Maybe it was the way his hand was pressed against his stomach, fingers curled like claws. Maybe it was the small, animal sound of pain that escaped his lips, so quiet it was almost swallowed by the rain. Or maybe it was the gold ring on his finger, incongruous and haunting, engraved with symbols she didn't recognize. Keep walking, Amara. This isn't your country. These aren't your people. She knelt beside him anyway. Hey, her Korean was broken, stitched together from K-dramas and survival. Are you okay? His head turned slowly. His face was a brutal landscape of hunger, cheekbones sharp enough to cut, lips cracked and bleeding, eyes sunken so deep they looked like caves. But those eyes, God, those eyes. Even dying, they burned with an intelligence that made her breath catch. He couldn't have been older than 30, but he looked like he'd lived 1,000 years. He tried to speak. Only blood came out. Oh God, no! Amara's hands shook as she pulled out her phone, remembered it was dead, cursed in English, in Yoruba, in broken Korean. The hospital was 12 blocks away. No taxis would stop in this neighborhood at this hour. The rain was getting worse. He was going to die right here, right now, and she would be the last face he saw. His hand suddenly gripped her wrist, weak but desperate. His lips moved. She leaned closer, close enough to smell death on his breath, close enough to see the fever burning in his gaze. Hungry, please. Amara's heart cracked open. She didn't think, didn't question. Her body moved on instinct, on something older than logic, the instinct of mothers, of caregivers, of women who had always been told their bodies were made for saving men who couldn't save themselves. She pulled him closer, adjusted her wet jacket, and lifted her shirt. The rain pounded, the neon signs flickered, the city roared around them. And Amara Peer, a 26-year-old dancer from Lagos, held a dying Korean stranger against her breast and let him drink. She didn't see the black Mercedes that pulled up at the end of the alley, didn't see the men in suits who emerged, their faces going white with shock, didn't see them bow actually bow before their phones started ringing with frantic calls to someone they called Ka Dehengnim Enus Dihyungnim the boss. 3 weeks later, Amara had almost convinced herself it was a fever dream. She'd held him for maybe 10 minutes before he passed out completely. She'd screamed until a taxi finally stopped, used the last of her money to get him to a hospital, then fled before anyone could ask questions she couldn't answer. The nurses' faces had been a mixture of horror and confusion. A black woman, a dying man, the implications. They probably think I poisoned him. She'd gone home, scrubbed her skin raw in the shower, and tried to forget the weight of his head against her chest. The way his hand had clutched her arm like she was the only real thing in the world. The sound he'd made, part agony, part relief, part something she didn't have words for. Now she stood in the practice room, sweat dripping down her spine as she ran through choreography for the 100th time. The other dancers had already left. The studio was empty except for the bass-heavy K-pop instrumental shaking the mirrors. She didn't hear the door open. The woman who saved my life. Amara spun around, heart hammering. He stood in the doorway like a vision, like a ghost made flesh. But this wasn't the dying skeleton from the alley. This man was power incarnate, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a black suit that probably cost more than her yearly rent. His hair was slicked back, revealing a face that was both beautiful and terrifying. High cheekbones, sharp jaw, full lips that curved into something between a smile and a threat. Those eyes, she would know those eyes anywhere. "You," her voice came out in a whisper, "you're alive. Because of you." His English was perfect, barely accented. He stepped forward, and she saw the way he moved, like a predator, like royalty, like death in an expensive suit. "Do you know what you did?" You were dying." "I was testing." He stopped 3 feet away, close enough that she could smell his cologne, sandalwood, and smoke. Testing who in this city still had a soul, who would save a man they believed was worthless. His eyes traveled over her face, her body, not with lust, but with something more intense, fascination. "Every night for 6 months, I walked those streets. Hundreds of people passed me. Some spat, some kicked, most pretended I didn't exist." "Testing," Amara's mind reeled. "What are you?" "My name is Kang Min-jun." He reached into his jacket, pulled out a card, black, embossed with gold, a name she recognized even with her broken Korean. Kang Industries, the Kang family. One of the 5 most powerful conglomerates in Korea. Shipping, real estate, entertainment, and if the rumors were true, other things that didn't appear in official reports. "Oh my God," her legs felt weak. You're the man you fed like a baby." His smile widened, sharp as a blade. "The man who now owes you a debt that can never be repaid." He stepped closer. She could feel the heat radiating off his body. "In my world, Amara Peer, debts are binding, sacred, blood deep." "How do you know my name?" "I know everything about you." He circled her slowly, and she felt like prey being assessed. "I know you came to Seoul 3 years ago on a dance scholarship that evaporated. I know you work at Club Prism until 2 a.m., then teach children's dance classes in Hongdae at 9 a.m. I know you send half your money back to your mother and 3 sisters in Lagos. I know you eat the same meal every day, kimchi fried rice from the ajumma on the corner who gives you extra because she thinks you're too thin." Fear and anger warred in Amara's chest. "You had me followed, you." "I wanted to understand the woman who showed mercy to a monster." "You're not a monster, you were just..." "I'm the heir to an empire built on violence." His voice dropped, intimate and terrifying. "I've killed 7 men with my own hands. I've ordered the destruction of families. I've broken every law that matters and bought my way out of the ones I couldn't break." He stopped directly in front of her, so close she could see gold flecks in his dark eyes. "My own family staged that test. My uncle, who wants my position, hired the men who poisoned me, who left me in that alley to see if I was weak enough to die. To see who I'd become without power, without money, without the Kang name." "That's," Amara struggled to breathe, "that's insane." "That's my world." His hand reached up slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. His fingers traced the curve of her jaw, and electricity shot through her entire body. "And you walked into it the moment you opened your heart to me. The moment you gave me your body's milk like I was worth saving." "They know about you now," he whispered. "My uncle, my enemies, every rival family looking for weakness. And you, Amara..." His thumb brushed across her lips. "You are the weakness they've been searching for." The black Mercedes was waiting outside. "I'm not going anywhere with you," Amara said, even as her body betrayed her. Even as she felt the magnetic pull of this man who'd gone from dying stranger to something far more dangerous. Min-jun's smile was sad. "Then they'll come for you here, tonight, maybe with offers, maybe with threats, maybe with worse." He held open the car door. "I'm not asking you to trust me, Amara. I'm telling you that the moment you touched me, you became part of a war you don't understand. I can protect you, or I can walk away and let them tear you apart to get to me. Some choice." The only one I can give you. She looked back at the dance studio, her sanctuary, her escape, her small corner of Seoul that had nothing to do with conglomerates or violence or men with gold rings who tested the city's soul. Then she looked at Min-jun, really looked at him, past the expensive suit and the dangerous beauty to the man underneath. He was still that dying stranger, still hungry, still desperate, just in a different way. God forgive me. She got in the car. The penthouse was obscene, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline, minimalist furniture that probably cost more than houses, art on the walls that belonged in museums. But Amara barely noticed. She couldn't stop watching Min-jun as he shed his jacket, loosened his tie, poured 2 glasses of whiskey that cost more than her monthly rent. Why me? Her voice was small in the massive space. Why not just pay me off, make me sign something? Why bring me here? He handed her the glass, his fingers brushing hers deliberately. Because debt in my culture isn't transactional, it's spiritual. You didn't save my body, Amara. You saved my faith. He took a long drink, his eyes never leaving hers. For 6 months, I believed humanity was dead. That soul, that the world was just beautiful monsters eating each other. Then a woman who had every reason to hate this city, who'd been chewed up and spit out by its cruelty, stopped in the rain to feed a dying stranger. I'm not special. Anyone would have. No one did. The words were sharp, final. No one, just you. The weight of his gaze was unbearable. Amara looked away, toward the windows, toward the city that had taken so much from her. So what now? I'm your... What? Your pet project, your good deed. Now I court you. Her head snapped back. Excuse me. Min-jun set down his glass and moved toward her with that predatory grace. In 3 days, there's a gala. Every major family in Korea will be there, including my uncle, who's probably already planning how to use you against me. I need you beside me, not as a victim to be protected, but as someone I'm choosing, publicly, deliberately. You want me to be your fake girlfriend? The absurdity made her laugh. I'm a dancer from Lagos, your Korean royalty. They'll eat me alive. Yes, his honesty was startling. They will try. They'll call you names I won't repeat. They'll question my sanity, my loyalty, my honor. My uncle will use it as proof that I'm unfit to lead. He stepped closer, close enough that she could feel his breath on her face. But I'm not asking you to be fake, Amara. I'm asking you to be exactly what you were in that alley, impossible to ignore, impossible to dismiss, impossible to forget. Her heart was racing, and what do I get? Everything. The word was a promise and a threat. Protection, money, citizenship, a dance studio of your own, your mother and sisters brought to Korea, everything you've struggled for, everything Seoul has denied you. His hand cupped her face, and God help her, she leaned into it. And maybe, if you can stomach a monster like me, something real. Before she could answer, his phone rang. The look that crossed his face made her blood run cold. They've made their move, he said quietly. Then, they have your roommate. Jaewon had been Amara's only real friend in Seoul, a Korean-American dancer who'd been her roommate, her translator, her lifeline. The text message was simple. Come alone, or we send her back in pieces. No, Min-jun's voice was steel. It's a trap. I don't care. Amara was already grabbing her jacket. She's my friend, she's innocent. No one is innocent. He caught her arm, spun her around. This is what they do. They find what you love and use it as a knife. If you go, you die. If I go, we both die. There's only one move that wins. What move? His smile was terrifying. We call their bluff, at the gala, in front of everyone. The next 48 hours were a blur. Dress fittings, security briefings, crash courses in Korean high society etiquette from women who looked at Amara like she was a fascinating insect. Min-jun never left her side, never touched her except when teaching her how to navigate a room full of enemies, never crossed the line from protection to possession. But God, the way he looked at her. Like she was water, and he was still dying of thirst. The gala was held at the Shilla Hotel, and walking in on Min-jun's arm was like entering a battlefield dressed as a queen. Every head turned. Every conversation stopped. Amara wore red, blood red, silk that clung to her curves, a color that screamed defiance against the sea of blacks and whites and tasteful pastels. Her braids were styled in an intricate crown. Her makeup was flawless, done by an artist who'd murmured, "Make them remember you existed." They would. Oh God, they would. "Smile," Minjun murmured in her ear as cameras flashed. "You're not afraid." "I'm terrified." "Good, so are they." His uncle was easy to spot, an older version of Minjun, handsome and cruel, surrounded by men in suits who watched with snake eyes. He approached with a glass of champagne and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Nephew and guest." His English was perfect, condescending. How unexpected. "Uncle," Minjun's arm tightened around Amara's waist. "May I introduce Amara Peer, my fiancé?" The room exploded into whispers. Amara's heart stopped. "Fiancé." "Fascinating." The uncle's eyes traveled over her like she was meat. "And where is her family, her connections, her pedigree?" "Her family," Minjun said softly, dangerously, "is the woman who saved my life when everyone else, including you, left me to die." A touching story, but hardly. "Jaiwon," Amara gasped. Her roommate was being escorted through the crowd by two men in suits, unharmed, confused, but alive. Minjun had played his uncle like a fiddle, anticipating the kidnapping, having his own men rescue her hours ago, keeping it secret for this exact moment. "You see," Minjun addressed the crowd, his voice carrying through the ballroom, "my uncle thought he could manipulate me through fear, through violence, through the old ways." He turned to Amara, and the look in his eyes made her knees weak. "But this woman taught me a new way, mercy, grace, the courage to be vulnerable." He dropped to one knee, right there in front of Korea's elite, and pulled out a ring, the same gold ring from the alley, cleaned and polished. "Amara Peer, you fed me when I was dying. You saw worth in a stranger who'd given up on the world. You are braver than any warrior I know. Will you marry me? Really?" The room was silent, waiting, judging. Amara looked down at this impossible man, this killer, this heir, this ghost who'd come back to life in her arms. She thought about Lagos, about Seoul, about all the ways the world had tried to make her small, about how tired she was of being afraid. "Yes," the word came out strong, clear. "Yes, I'll marry you." The room erupted, some in applause, some in scandal, but Minjun was already standing, sliding the ring onto her finger, pulling her into a kiss that tasted like victory and danger, and something achingly real. As they pulled apart, she whispered against his lips, "Was any of that real, or am I just another move in your game?" His answer would change everything. 6 months later, the dance studio Minjun built for Amara sat in the heart of Itaewon, glass-walled and beautiful, filled with children from every corner of Seoul. Korean, foreign, rich, poor, all moving together to music that crossed borders. She stood at the window, watching them, her hand unconsciously touching her stomach where a different kind of hunger was growing. "Regretting your choice." Minjun's arms wrapped around her from behind, his chin resting on her shoulder. "Every day," she smiled. "But I'm stubborn." "I noticed." He turned her around, and the man who'd been a ghost, a monster, a king, looked at her with something terrifyingly simple. Love. "My uncle is in prison. The family wars are over. You could leave. Take your freedom, your studio, your sisters who are thriving in their new schools. You don't owe me anything anymore." "I know." She touched his face, this beautiful, broken man who taught her that mercy could be its own form of power. "But maybe I'm not staying because of debt. Maybe I'm staying because a girl from Lagos and a boy from Seoul found each other in the rain, and it turns out." She pressed her forehead to his. "Miracles taste like breast milk and blood, and something neither of us expected." "Love." "Something like it." He kissed her then, soft, reverent, nothing like their first kiss in the ballroom. "I was dying that night, really dying, and you gave me life without knowing who I was, what I was worth, what I could give you. That's not pity, Amara, that's humanity," she finished. "We saved each other." Through the window, the children danced. Lagos met Seoul in their movements. Hip-hop blended with traditional Korean, Afrobeats merged with K-pop. The world was changing, one step at a time. And somewhere in the rain-soaked alleys of Seoul, another stranger was testing the city's soul. Amara hoped they'd find their miracle too. In a world that teaches us to walk past suffering, that trains us to protect ourselves first, that sorts humans into categories of worthy and worthless, asterisk. Sometimes the most radical act is simply stopping. Seeing someone, really seeing them, and choosing mercy when no one would blame you for walking away. Because you never know, the dying stranger in the rain might be a monster, might be a king, might be just another broken human searching for proof that kindness still exists. But here's the truth they don't tell you. When you save someone, you don't just change their life. You change yours. And sometimes, in the space between pity and love, between survival and salvation, between two worlds that were never supposed to touch, magic happens. The kind of magic that feeds the hungry. The kind that brings the dead back to life. The kind that proves, again and again, asterisk, we are all worth saving.